Well, hello and hi, and welcome to the webinar that I've offered to put on this afternoon. You're only going to be looking at this image for a little while, because what I'm going to do in a minute is share my computer imagery with you as I go through some of the things that I use to help promote my 4N groups. And this is something that I develop with my teams up in Yorkshire. So some of the stuff that you're going to see is sort of team orientated, but it's going to give you an idea of some of the things that you can do and help your teams to go ahead and promote their groups using social media. There's a chat window in this particular platform. So if you've got any questions as we go along, if I could ask you to put your questions in the chat window, which is where I've said hello, and then I can pick them up at the end, because what I have found is that if we try and do a live discussion, it slows things down so much that you basically end up being about 5 or 6 steps behind what it is I'm trying to show. So if you've got any questions as we go along, we can have a good old chat about it at the end, and I'll pick up the questions from the chat room. Okay. So what I'm going to do to begin with is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, which just takes a moment or two to load up. That's going to come through and share any minute now. Honest Gov. There we go. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just to run through a few slides that is something that I put together, as I said, for groups up in Yorkshire, just to give you an idea of a bit of a strategy that can go around it. And this is, a handout that I'll share with everybody afterwards, so there's plenty of opportunity to pick it up. It starts off just with reiterating what the team role, if you like, is for each person. As I say, this was built for new team members or new teams restarting groups, just to give everybody the idea about what it is that they need to do. But I think what's relevant about what we're talking about this afternoon, is just, again, this idea of trying to get your teams, etc., to work as a team and it not becoming one person's responsibility, because otherwise it's really easy for that to become basically that person's personal Twitter feed and that, or Facebook page or what have you. And that's not really what you're after. You're after it supporting the group. So, as I say, this is something that we were put together to look at strategizing and thinking about using social media to promote 4N groups. It looks at 3 main ways of doing that, which is Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn as part of the social media platform. It also looks at using some of the forum tools and also using MailChimp, or there are other free mailing services available, but also setting up a newsletter type affair so that you've got a means of communicating with all your previous visitors and members for your groups in your region. So this was just an idea and strategy program that we put together that starts on the day of the meeting. So after your meeting has completed, then the first thing to think about is getting something up on the forum. Again, you can see this is a little bit dated because it refers to the group hug, but get something up on the forum about your meeting. Now here's the first thing to think about. You can use that thread on the forum to point people in the direction of your social media platform for your group. So whereas initially we were talking about write about the experiences of the meet, the things that went well or what have you, that's perfect content for that to go on your Facebook page and for your forum post to point people to go to your Facebook page and like it. The more likes you get, the more people who like your Facebook page, the more viral or spread you will get for that particular platform. So it's just worth thinking about at that point. If you do go ahead and write a forum post, if you write it yourself as the AL, or you're getting one of your group teams to do it, make sure that you subscribe to the thread so that you can be made aware of any responses and engage in the conversation. It isn't just about going, yes, it was a great meet, thanks a lot, see you next time. It's also about using the forum as a platform to get people talking about your group. one of the things that I say during a foresight that I deliver about getting the most out of your membership is to remember that networking doesn't finish when you walk out of the meet. And this is one way of making that happen. Again, another thing that works well is to supplement that with an email to all the attendees on that meet, just thanking them for coming along with, book on to the next meet, but also providing links to all your social media feeds. So asking people to come and like your Facebook page, follow your group on Twitter, or connect with you personally on LinkedIn. Or if you're going to set up a LinkedIn group for your 4N group, then they can go ahead and join that. So you get the idea, okay, when we're looking at this sort of option, that there are different things you can think about using on the day. But the important thing is that the momentum is carried on straight away and that you're looking at means and ways of doing that. So on the forum can start it off, link it in with Twitter, and I'm going to show you where all these things are, all that stuff as we go through. But also think about setting up your mail shot to go out the day after the meeting, which can include a link to your forum post, details of the next meeting date and foresight speaker, and that can go to all of your current members, lapsed members, and visitors for your group. But somebody needs to own that. So again, if you've got a keen MA or an MA that might need some help getting to started or some system to start, that's not a bad place to get them going. You can download the information off the 4N website, the emails, and then load it up into something like MailChimp. It's free. And then start sending out regular updates to all of your members to let them know what's coming up in your groups. So this is the first thing you can think about with the day of the meeting. And then when you come up and look at 2 weeks before the next meet, then you can think about upping the ante a little bit and revisit the thread on the forum, let people know if you've got spaces left, not spaces left. You get the idea. Get on the website and start following up on members who've maybe not been for a while, and the visitors. You get information from that can be quite useful. Not least of which is the fact that you can now see on the 4N website if people have a Twitter feed. So as you're growing your Twitter stream for your individual groups, you can start to follow people, and that then engages them in that conversation. You can also tweet about the foresight that you have coming up, making sure that you mention whoever your foresighter is, and you can retweet other group tweets in your region to again just keep the conversation going, as well as sending out an interim reminder mail shot so that people go to come along to the meet. Again, it's just keeping up the momentum. 10 days before, you can post a new thread on the forum about an upcoming meeting, details of your foresight speaker, a link for people to be able to group. On Twitter, keep going, keep tweeting regular updates on where your meeting is, who your foresight speaker is, information that's on the forum. And then as you're getting towards the meeting like this, send the event link from the 4N website to your team and ask them to circulate it to their LinkedIn connections. Invite your local connections too, and you can also think about creating an event on Facebook and inviting all your group members to come along and book or express their interest on Facebook. The more interactivity you have with people who like your page, the more your activity will be seen by other people. And again, you can also think about having another mail shot going out, should you want to. Just going ahead with the mail shot about the upcoming meeting, details of the next foresight, next 3 events, any photos. You get the idea. And as I say, this was set up to help the teams that I looked after in Yorkshire get their head around some form of a strategy. Every group does it slightly differently, but you get the idea of what's going on with that. 1 week before and getting close to the meeting, keep the forum thread alive, keep people engaging, keep tweeting, make sure that your team members are helping whoever has taken on the responsibility to do that, but make sure that everybody is getting engaged. and that you're using all three areas if you can, Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn, to keep that meeting in people's minds and get them thinking about coming along. Make sure you keep your mailing list up to date, otherwise your MailChimp mail shot is about as much use as a chocolate teapot. And all of this is about getting that information out there, using the platform and the tools to help you promote your group. But the practicalities of that are looking at doing some actual hands-on stuff with these particular platforms. So I'm just going to come out of this PowerPoint presentation for a moment and get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is to start to share some other information with you on my screen. And the first thing that I'm going to do is to go to the 4N website. I can see that a couple of you in the chat room have said you've had a bit of a problem with sound. There's not a lot I can do about that from my end. I'm at full the sound here that I've got. Just turn it up a little bit more. But that's about as much as I can get before I start getting feedback. So we'll just see how we go. The recording should come through okay. So the first thing then that we're going to do here is to have a look at the 4N website. And this is where you can go ahead and start obviously putting your posts into the group events, happenings and news. Okay. So if I go into that section, all I want to do is just to show you where some of these tools are. If I go ahead and pick up the new topic command and then start to put in some information about the meeting coming up next week at Newark. So go ahead and start to put it in. I can't type and talk. I'd go ahead and put this through, and again I'll come back and amend this a little bit later on. But before you post it, the first thing that you need to do is to put a tick into the subscribe box on the right hand side, or you're not going to be made aware of anybody responding to your 4N forum post. That needs to go in so that you get that information. And then when I click on post topic, and it goes ahead and loads that up, and I then look back at that post, by giving that a click. I've then got, over on the right-hand side of that forum post that I've loaded up, 3 means of going ahead and sharing that through social media. The first is the tweet button. So you need to be logged in to Twitter, whether or not that's your own account, your group account, doesn't matter, but you do need to have an active Twitter account open. It just makes it easier. If you don't have an account open, then it will ask you to sign in each time, which just gets a bit annoying. So the first thing that you can do is to tweet your forum post. Okay. What that will also do is to add in the hashtag 4NWorks, which of course helps to bring that up through the 4N lists and 4N trend. And it does it automatically for you. But again, it makes it easier if you're already logged in to Twitter beforehand. You've also got an email button, which I've just given that a click there, and that does exactly what it says on the tin. I can then go ahead and bring up the email link, and I can copy it. So by putting my mouse over the link to this Twitter post and making a right-hand button click, just the one, I can copy that link address and I can put it directly into an email that I write, rather than having to add the email addresses manually up here, because that takes ages. So it just gives you the ability to take the link to the post, so say put your mouse over it, make a right-hand button click, choose copy the link address, and you can put that in your own email. I'm just going to come out of that for a second. I can also like the post, which is engaged with whatever Facebook account I am currently signed in to. Okay. So although there's nothing in this particular forum post, I could give that a click and it would show up through my Facebook page that I have liked that post on the forum. And again, that gives me an opportunity to share that with everybody who is connected to me on Facebook. Okay. You can also share it across Facebook as well. So that brings up a post that you generate through Facebook. I'm going to give that a click, and it will load that up. And it's brought me into the For Networking Lincolnshire Facebook page, which of course I run. So you're seeing quite a bit of stuff up here at the top, which I'll just get rid of. And then I can go ahead and start to share details of that event on this particular Facebook page. This Facebook page for Networking in Lincolnshire is open to everybody. Just because I manage it doesn't mean that everybody else can't use it. So if you've got your next meeting coming up, why not come onto the For Networking Lincolnshire page and put a notice on there about it. All you need to do is to come and search for it. So you just do a Facebook search for Networking Links and then like us. And as soon as you like us, it becomes a page that you are part of the family, and you can start to be part of the conversation. It's a great opportunity to go ahead and bring together people from different groups, and also, for example, a way to communicate with people that were interested in attending your meetings. It allows you to start to build up that social interaction, get some relationships going online, and invite people along to go ahead and join you. It's also a great place to get the people who are coming to your meetings to interact after the event. So we ran a meeting in Grantham yesterday. Keith came along. You can see he's made his comment here about yesterday's meeting at Grantham. And again, if I like that, then everybody that is connected to the For Networking Links Facebook page will see that we have liked that back for Keith. And again, that goes ahead and shows, first of all, that there is somebody interacting with the 4N web page, and it also means that it helps both sides of that, both Keith's page and our For Networking page, get a little bit more exposure. It's also a great place to go and start finding businesses and other platforms to like. The more people you like, the more exposure you get. So if you've got a Facebook page, then one of the things that you can write is to go and visit it. So for example, if I put in here that you can go and visit the Facebook page for 4N in Lincoln, if I go ahead and grab that link, which I don't have to hand at the moment, I could just paste it in that section, and then when I click on post, it will go ahead and create a link to the 4N Lincoln page, and again that gives that interactivity and the communication between the two. This is also a great place to go ahead and load up photos or videos that you've taken from your meets. So we were at a new venue at Lincoln this morning, and we went ahead and took some photographs of it. So if I want to go ahead and pick that up, then again anybody can do this. I click the photo video option, upload photos and video. I'm going to go and pick up the file that I want. Bear with me whilst that comes into play. So I'd go ahead and pick that up. Not a great picture, but hey-ho, we'll go from there. I'd open it, and then I would go ahead and post it. And as I post it, it would then load the photo up. Well, I should have to Photoshop that a bit so we don't look like we're sitting in the dark. But you'll be able to go ahead and add that photograph or video in there. So again, if you've got, or you've had a great foresight, you've maybe taken some photographs of, why not go ahead and load it up onto the For Networking Links Facebook page, and also get your teams to come and like it, and then start to evangelize about using Facebook as a means of getting all the groups to talk together. I'm just going to close this page for a moment and go back to the forum post. So we've had a look at our tweet button, email share, and if I put my mouse over the email share, then again, this is also where you can create a link to share on LinkedIn from this same option. Okay, and really all it's doing is just bringing up this same link. So you've posted your forum thread, you've gone ahead and talked about your great meet and how much you've enjoyed it, given people some taster or teasers about what's coming up at your next meet. You've made sure that that's gone out to as many people as you can manage, so you can email it to all the people who attended your meetings, put a link into your MailChimp mail shot to go to anybody who's ever appeared at any of your meetings ever in their life, and also share it on their Facebook page. So the forum is a good place to start. And as we start to go on from there, then you're thinking about how you can use other platforms to individually help promote your group. So again, what I'm going to do is just close the For Networking site page for a moment. And I'm going to go ahead and look at Twitter to begin with. This is my Twitter page, simply because it was the easiest one to bring up at this particular point. But one of the first things that your groups can do, and Mark mentioned this when we were all together at the AL meet recently, one of the things that you can do is to start searching for businesses, contacts, etc. in your area. So for example, if I want to start looking for anybody who's using the hashtag Newark for me, then I can use hashtag Newark in the search field at the top there and then press enter. And what Twitter's going to do is to go off and find any tweets that are using hashtag Newark. Now I've chosen that actually quite deliberately because quite a lot of the time if we're looking for new businesses to follow in Newark, there's also of course a Newark in New Jersey. So we do have to kind of make sure that we're not ending up following lots of businesses in America. New Jersey is a lovely place, but not necessarily easily commutable for networking. So Twitter helps you. If there is somebody using the hashtag here, Newark, and they are followed by people that you are already connected to on Twitter, then it will show you. So here, the wine shop, Yum Yum, is being followed by Jenny at Yours for a Day and 9 other people. I can click on that piece of text to get a little bit more information about this person. And I can also then click on their little moniker or profile label and then go ahead and follow them. You can see here at the top that For Networking Newark is already following that account. And I can go ahead and follow it from my Lightning Training account as well. Also means that I can go and have a look at who these 4 others are. If I give that a click, then it will take me to the followers of the Anne at Van wine shop. Now I can start to scroll down this list of followers. Here are some familiar faces. And have a look at who I know that follows them. And then I can go back a step, which will take me back to the previous page where I did my results for Newark. Here's another opportunity here. Now I can click on the picture, click on the follow, and again that starts to build up the list of local businesses that I am following. So when this is my For Networking Newark head-on, as you can see they're already following this particular business, you're looking to target specific Twitter accounts in your area. And that's one way of being able to do that. Again, if I close out of that. So the same would apply, for example, for me to look for Grantham. If it goes, you get the idea. So one of the first things that you can do as a means of starting to build up your following for each group on Twitter is to go and have a look at who is hashtagging or trending, looking to be part of the communication about where your group is based. You'll see all sorts of things that you probably didn't really know was going on there. I mean, it's maybe not much use to follow a prep school particularly. But again, you can start to look at following people who are commenting on developing business in Grantham, for example. You get the idea. So if you've got a brand spanking new Twitter feed, then this is one of the ways that you can start to build up the following by looking at getting involved and following businesses in your region or in your specific group location. You can hashtag search for pretty much anything. If I just put hashtag networking in, then you start to get an idea of people who are talking about networking. There's another opportunity to go and have a look and see maybe if there's something that you could get involved in or follow, or maybe go ahead and invite them to come and network with you. Because I've now changed my hashtag to networking, on the left-hand side here that I'm just rolling my mouse around at the moment, I've got some suggestions now that are coming up around that key tag for me to follow. Women in Newark, I can follow that, and Links Marketing Expo, I can follow that. As I start to do that, it will start to bring up more options. So you'll then see that we've got Newark Carnival I could choose to follow. And then it will refresh it again, and I can choose to follow 4N in Sheffield. And all that's doing is looking at the kind of information I'm asking Twitter to show me and making suggestions for me to go ahead and build my Twitter feed. So you get the idea there as well. You can push that through and think, okay, let's go and have a look at, who's really trending today about networking. Is there anybody in this list of tweets on the right-hand side that I ought to be following? If I go and click on Lincoln Business Club, for example, if I'm not following that person, then the follow button will be a clear grey. And then as soon as I do follow that person, it will go a solid blue. And again, that's then me linked in to Lincoln Business Club through Twitter, and I can choose to engage with them. Remember that each tweet you send can be seen by each person who follows you. And again, I'm just going to come out of that. You can see some of the things coming through here. And if you really want to drill down, then you can hashtag purely for 4N. And you'll see here that it's a recognized hashtag by Twitter. And I can go ahead and have a look at that. And again, I can look and see who's talking about 4N. Is there anybody maybe in my region, or anybody that is a member of the group or a recent visitor to your groups who are maybe tweeting about it that you're not following yet? And again, there'll be some familiar faces here. 4N past, present and future, as they say. And again, on the left-hand side of that Twitter feed, you can also see that it brings up various other suggestions based on you putting in hashtag 4N. The key thing about Twitter is making sure that it's not just a one-way feed. You need to interact a little bit. So whoever it is who looks after your Twitter feed for your group or for your groups, if you decide to put it all together, needs to make sure that they're checking it at least a couple of times a day. It doesn't have to be all the time, but a couple of times a day so that they can go ahead and respond. Now, the bad side about using Twitter on the web, as I'm doing here, is if I go back to my home page for Twitter, anything that happened around about, 5 minutes ago, I've lost it. It's come off the end of my Twitter feed here, and I'm not up to date at this particular point. So there is a platform that you can use, which is called Hootsuite, which allows you to go ahead and monitor your information and your Twitter feed on a platform where you can go back a lot further. So again, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to close my main Twitter page here for a moment, which is going to bring up the Hootsuite dashboard. Okay. All Hootsuite allows you to do is to monitor more than one social media stream at one go. You can have up to 3 streams, that's 3 accounts, for free. I've got more than that because this brings together my business feeds and also the 4N feeds. So I look after the 4N Twitter feed for 4N in Lincolnshire, the Facebook page for 4N in Lincolnshire, and also at the moment I look after the 4N feed for Lincoln as an individual group. What you're looking at here is the home feed for the 4N Lincolnshire Twitter feed. Okay. And there are people talking about me. See, I've got this column here that's talking about 4N links. So, for example, I've got a message here from somebody looking to Foresight. So immediately I can reply to that and go, so again, I said I can't type and talk. So what I've done there is just to go ahead and make the reply, asking them to direct message, that's like personal inbox through Twitter, which means that it's only a message between me and this person, just asking them for their email details, and I can then go ahead and start to talk to them about doing some foresights. So I'm going to send that tweet back, and that's that conversation going. And again, you can see there's an earlier tweet here about the new location. So I'm going to reply to Ellen. Hello there, Ellen. Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, then what's the point of doing that? I could just pick the phone up and have a chat with Ellen, which indeed I could. But once I start to interact with another Twitter follower, everybody who is following Ellen will see that conversation, because they will see Ellen interacting with 4N links, or 4N Sheffield, or 4N Newark, or 4N Grimsby, whatever the conversation is. So sometimes on Twitter, it's worth talking to yourself, because you can send a tweet from your own account to your 4N account and respond accordingly. And if I go ahead and send that now, then again that will go through, and Ellen will see that as a response on her Twitter feed. So if you're going to set up Hootsuite, which is really, really simple to do, you just log in, and you can log in using a Facebook account, or you can just use your email address. You just add your social media accounts. That's all you need to do. You go ahead and add them using the tools and things on the side here, and it will allow you to manage them. And as I say, you have up to 3 before you have to pay. But even if you want to add more, it only costs about £3 a month. It's $5.99 for what they call Hootsuite Pro every month, which will let you have up to 8 accounts before they ask you to pay more than that. So it's not an awful lot of money. £3 or so is about what it costs each month. But then you can get it all in the same place. So I'm looking at the 4N Lincolnshire Twitter feed here. That's what we're looking at now. But I can swap then and have a look at the Facebook feed for networking in Lincolnshire. So we just saw this post a few minutes ago when I was looking at that page directly, where Keith had responded and said that he really enjoyed the meeting yesterday at Grantham. So again, I can respond to that now with a status update. And we're good to go. Now, one of the things that I can do here to make this even more personal is to tag Keith in the post, which I do by just putting an @ sign at the beginning of his name, and then I go ahead and click Add. And it will go ahead and create that as a feed post on the Facebook page. So again, that's going ahead and bringing in the interaction between the two. So Twitter and Facebook are sharing here. And then again, as I said before, I've also got the 4N Lincoln Twitter feed. So as I'm looking then to bring the information up, looking at who's talking about 4N in Lincoln, and the answer at the moment is not anybody very much, certainly not recently. But I can also start to look down the home feed for Lincoln and think, okay, who's 4N Lincoln connected with? Who's active today? Who's talking? Can I go ahead and start to talk about my group and try and encourage people to come along to my group and be part of it? So again, you can just go ahead and pick it up, look through the conversations, get an idea of what it is that you can have a look at. And again, you need to be doing this on a regular basis. So the last time I checked this was yesterday, so I haven't checked the LinkedIn feed since yesterday afternoon, but that's pretty much down to the fact that I've been for networking this morning. So again, just having a look at it, and I would then go through and look to see if we've got any new engagers, if there's anybody new I want to follow, and go through that. So if you've got multiple Twitter feeds, whether or not you are actually using them yourself or you just want to monitor the Twitter feeds for your groups, as I say, you can have up to 3 for free with Hootsuite, which not only gives you a chance to kind of manage a little bit more about what's going on, but also gives you an opportunity to look back at historical data. Something else that you can do with Hootsuite, which helps you on a group basis, is preload some tweets so that you've always got a voice going out for your groups. So you get the idea here that not only is there my own Twitter feed for Lightning Training, which pushes out top tips and things on a regular basis each day, but I've also got some regular feeds going out for the groups, focusing on Grantham here at the moment. The Lincoln and Newark feeds finished at the beginning of the week. And I haven't had to sit there and type those in. Far from it. All you need to do is to create a spreadsheet with your tweets in it. So this is what gets loaded up. You can have up to 50 messages programmed to go out at any one time on a free account. So that's nearly, 2 months worth of at least daily information. And all you have to do is to put the date and the time you want the tweet to go in the first column, what it is you want your tweet to say, remembering, of course, it needs to be short, sharp, and punchy. And then what this is at the end is just a shrunk and link to the Grantham event page on the 4N website. So all I did was to go to the 4N website, pick up the Grantham page, and then paste it into another website called tinyurl.com, which shrinks it, because these 3 columns then become all of this information in Hootsuite. So you can go ahead and put that out there and have an automated bit of information and conversation going out for your groups, basically so that it's keeping the conversation going is really what that's looking to do. And that's Hootsuite. That's certainly the one that I use. And again, you can look and see by changing the view how those things are going to go out. So you can see it's a blank before today. The other things have finished. If I want to change them around a little bit, I can just drag them in the calendar view and make them go a little bit later or a little bit earlier, whatever it is that you think is going to work. So Hootsuite can be a really good way to manage that and start to look at putting that strategy into place. So again, I'm just going to come out of the Hootsuite window for a moment, which takes me into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a really valuable pot of potential networkers. If you've got a LinkedIn account and you're engaging with people on LinkedIn, then you're already signifying your interest in networking on a professional level, and so are they. So one of the things that you can do when it's coming up to your next meeting, for example, is to start looking at your connections and thinking about who's around you and how you can go ahead and invite them to join you at 4Networking. All I'm doing here is looking at my LinkedIn profile, my network, and my contacts, which I'm going to go ahead and bring up. And because I've been using LinkedIn for quite a long time, I've got a lot of connections, nearly 2,000 actually, so it's going to take a moment to go ahead and bring this up and bring the list in, but it will get there in the end. Because I don't have to sit with nearly 2,000 connections and think, oh Lord, how am I going to go ahead and find people who are in my area? Actually, I don't have to worry about that. When it loads up, which it might decide to do in a minute, I can sort my contacts by geographical area. And I'm just going to try and see if I can get it to do that in a slightly better way. So what I'm going to do is to come and open up a new message and get to my address book that way. So just, there we go. So again, it's loading up my connections through LinkedIn a little bit faster than it does on the front page. So if I want to send a message to my connections, inviting them to come along and network with me at Newark next week, what I'm going to do first of all, instead of looking at everybody, is I'm going to look at people in that area. So I'm going to come down through my list here and look for anybody around Newark or the Newark area. This is completely dependent on what people have put in their profile, and it's also, LinkedIn sometimes doesn't recognize what it decides are smaller cities. So you'll see here that I have not got Newark on its own, but I do have Lincoln on its own. So if I choose Lincoln as an example, 32 of my connections are based in Lincoln, and I can start to decide who I would like to invite to come along and join me at my next For Networking meet. And I can go through that list, and you'll see that as I'm ticking them, it's adding them to the list on the right hand side, and I can go ahead and target up to 50 of my connections at any one go. Because a lot of people join LinkedIn and don't fill their profiles out properly, if that's the case, then you can also look for other, or, oops, wrong way. If I go to all locations and then start to drill down by industry, then that will also help. But all locations by default will actually take through any profiles of people who haven't put a location in. So, for example, if I come down here and have a look at a few of the names that are coming through, then some of these people just haven't put a location in their profile at all, but because I know Pete, then I know that he's actually based near Leeds. So again, it's probably not worth me asking him to come to a Newark meet because it's a bit of a long way to go. But it's a great way to go ahead and start using LinkedIn as a way to get more people to come along to your groups by inviting your contacts, searching for your contacts. And you can do the same thing by using some advanced search tools in LinkedIn. The advanced tab is right up at the top of the screen here. I'm just going to give it a quick tick. And that's going to open up then the advanced people search. This is where you can start to look at various different areas that you want to go ahead and bring up. If I want to go ahead and bring up anybody located in or near my postcode to ask them to come and network with me, I can put in my postcode and then a radius of, click on search, and without any other form of filtering that, I haven't put any other particular bits in, it's coming up first of all with people that I am connected to. But if you look across the top of the screen here, I can get rid of people I am connected to already, which are my first connections, by clicking on the cross, which is going to reload the list eventually. And it would then allow me to focus on people that are second connections to me, and I could start to think about asking them to come along and join me at my networking group. So all I'm doing here is just moving down through the list. I could go ahead and filter it purely by location and go from there. So again, if you're active on LinkedIn, it's a good place to go to if you are wanting to increase the popularity of your group. Get cracking with it on LinkedIn. And get your teams to do it as well. And the other thing to think about with that is certainly, first and foremost, make sure that you are connected to all your team members so that you've got that little network going. You can also think about setting up a For Networking group. So there's a For Networking group, if I come down towards the bottom, please hold, for Lincolnshire, which allows you to go ahead and share information with people. And they can also share information to all your members, of which at the moment there are, at last count, 36. Now, some of these people are not currently active networkers. Mark Gibbons, for example, isn't. He's one of my connections, but he doesn't actively network, and so I can use that to go ahead and contact him and say, you keen? Would you like to come along and join and see what it's like? So it can be a really good place to also invite people to come along, invite people to join your group, and then ask them to come along and visit your For Networking group in the flesh. It's a good opportunity to do that. I wouldn't use LinkedIn for anything more than that, but it's a good way of being able to look at your contacts and your details and work those accordingly. So again, I'm going to close the 4N Lincolnshire group and in fact my LinkedIn group altogether, which takes me back to Facebook. Facebook is really the way to really start to bring out people's interaction with your groups. Whether you have an individual page for each of your individual groups, or you just want to use the For Networking links page as a platform for that. When you start talking on Facebook, anything that you do and how you interact with it is shared with anybody else that you go ahead and like and interact with on Facebook. And Facebook is certainly the biggest growing area of social media influence at the moment. And certainly Mark is far more qualified to talk to you about that than I am. But there's a lot of information that you can get across here, and certainly over the past 2 weeks at both the Grantham and the Lincoln groups, we've had people come along as a result of seeing the interaction on Facebook. We certainly had a visitor this morning at Lincoln who is going to join, who expressed the interest in coming to join, having found the For Networking Lincolnshire page on LinkedIn, and then went ahead and put themselves on the meet. So it can go ahead and really make a big difference to raising the exposure of your group. I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to go back into the platform for our meet, where I'm going to stop the screen share. So basically now we're looking back at the main page, really so that I can go ahead and take any questions from you. Certainly I can see that Michelle's put in the chat room to send the strategy, and yeah, I would absolutely do that, and I mentioned that a little bit earlier on, that I would quite happily send that through to you. But if you've got any questions, now is the time to go ahead and throw them in the chat window, and or if you've got a microphone, you can unmute it and ask me direct, and we'll see where we go from there. Yeah, absolutely. I would be more than happy to go ahead and rework this for team members for you. I don't think I've done that yet. No, I don't think I have. yeah. So yes, we could. Certainly have that hosted and be able to generate a link so that as you get new team members into your groups, then you can certainly share that with them. That's not a problem at all, John. I haven't got an issue with that whatsoever. Does anybody have any questions about the individual platforms here? Maybe anything about scheduling tweets or sorts of things to put on Facebook? Any questions like that? I guess not. Good. Oh, here they go. So Michelle's obviously asking that she's not seen the calendar option in Hootsuite, so look at that. It's great, actually. It makes it so much easier to make sure that you've not got all your updates going out at the same time, being able to pad them through the day. And one of the things that is quite key about For Networkers, of course, is that we're all up at the crack of sparrow farts on the morning that we go to a meeting. So sometimes having a tweet going out fairly late at night and then a tweet going out pretty damn early in the morning might just pick up and scoop up people who are at a bit of a loose end or have had a meeting cancelled the night before and then might well become available. And you can, when you're scheduling through Hootsuite, you can do it on one level for free, but if you want to be able to go ahead and say, send that through Twitter and Facebook, that does involve having the paid account. But as I say, it's not terribly expensive. It's about £3. Ellen's asking me if I have a free LinkedIn account or have I upgraded. No, I have a paid account, and I have done for years. It costs about £10 a month, I think. It's not more than that. But that was something actually that was done, that I did a long time ago, mostly because taking the sort of social media aside out from a 4Networking perspective for a minute, without the paid membership, you can't see who it is who's looking at you. You can see that people have viewed your profile, but you can't see who they are, which basically takes away an ability for you to follow up a potential opportunity. So yes, I have upgraded to a paid account, and I would recommend it for that, because I can then go ahead and target people who are looking at my profile individually or the profile for Lightning Training as a company page. John's asking if Hootsuite is the best. Is Hootsuite the best? It's certainly the one I like the most, because I tried TweetDeck and hated it. So I certainly like it. You can see Michelle's going, yes, it is. It's certainly the one I find easiest to use. And if you go for the whole paid account thing in Hootsuite, you can also build teams. So you could, for example, as the area leader, be the person who is monitoring all of the accounts for the groups that you look after, but you're adding in the team members to the Hootsuite account as the people who are actually going to do the tweeting, is something to look at. And that's certainly something that I'm developing with the Newark group, so that it's not just one person's responsibility all the time. Yeah, there's a Hootsuite app for iPad, John. So yeah, absolutely it does. And it's pretty good, actually. I use it on my iPad too, so that I can sit and check stuff during the evening when I've walked out of the office and locked the door. So yeah, it's definitely got an iPad app, and it's jolly good. Well, something then that I would like to suggest, if I can, is as you go away and you're thinking about working with your groups and promoting your groups and getting your groups to work together and all of those sorts of things, if there are other areas which you think a webinar might be of benefit, and again, because they're recorded, you can then pick them up anytime, then just let me know whether or not you've got any gut reaction suggestions right now, or whether you want to send me an email. And again, if you don't, I know you've had emails from me, but I'm just going to pop it in here for you very quickly, just in case you don't have it to hand. Then, by all means, send me some suggestions. I'm quite happy to work with John to put together, a webinar platform, so that we can go ahead and pick that up and help to, build our teams and increase their knowledge. So yes, it's been recorded. After the event, you'll get a link so you can access the recording, and there's no time limit on it. The recording is valid forever and ever and ever, amen. It doesn't expire after 30 days or anything like that. So we can certainly make that available. It takes a little while for that to go ahead and process, so it might not come out for an hour or so, but once it does, I'll go ahead and share that with you. So John, you can then share the link to any of the ALs who did not attend, but I've actually already got that information in the platform, so it might send it to them anyway. I'll double check. But if there aren't any more questions, then I think we can probably wrap that up. Yes, well, talk to me about that, John. Yeah, Network for Fever members, we can do that. That's not a problem at all. We'll make that happen. So thanks to everybody. Thank you very much for giving me some of your time. I'm glad, and I hope that you've enjoyed it, and have been able to get something out of it. And hopefully see you on the network. at Lincoln, Grantham or Newark very, very soon. Thanks very much, guys.